Yo, what up guys, SloMoBackSlap here, slapping you with another video, and today we're going to talk about Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite hit a big update for the gaming community yesterday on the Halo Waypoint blog. Got a link for that in the description below. And so I'm going to go over mostly the high point to what it said. It's a very, very long update full of various developers working for 343 Industries, and they're getting into details on their roles in the game. I'm not going to go over everything, but if you want to see more about that, definitely click that link and read up on it. It's a good read. But what I will be showing you is some of these screenshots here that are from the blog and the update, showing the improvements in visuals. And yes, these are just still frame screenshots. These is not anything that is in full motion. There's no video here. So until then, I'm still kind of somewhat skeptical on how it will look when it fully comes out, but I'll get into that in a minute about my standards for this game. Let's just briefly go over some of these things. So Joseph Staten, who has been probably on Halo Infinite now for a few months, is now pretty much in charge, considering that the previous director is gone. Joseph Staten said that he has completed the game, the campaign that is, twice already. So we know that the campaign is finished. This is good, I guess. I mean, the campaign's finished, but then you replace the guy that was in charge of the campaign. Why? If the campaign's finished, but you replaced him, clearly something that he was doing wasn't good enough. And if the campaign's finished, are you changing parts of the campaign from the guy that you replaced? I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. But in regards to some of these other things, they definitely address the visuals. And although this is coming a bit late, considering that Halo Infinite gameplay demo was shown months ago, and the complaints of it visually were pretty loud and pretty immediate afterwards. Them addressing this in this manner is good, but I feel like it's coming a bit late, especially considering it's coming out after when the game was supposed to launch, before it was delayed. Regardless of that, Ani Sastry, who is a development manager for the graphics team, says that July was indeed a very much work in progress slice of the technology and a reasonable set of key features from global illumination and dynamic time of day to GPU-driven rendering and variable rate shading were all in active development. Much of the graphics team capacity, along with that of some key technical artists, was focused on achieving high resolution and performance leading up to the demo, which meant several of these features didn't quite get the level of polish and bug fixing that was warranted. Okay, now before I go into the next part of this quote, let me just acknowledge that I'm glad that Ani is admitting that the game visually didn't look great. There's really no other thing they could do. They had to admit that. The game didn't look great visually. Saying otherwise will only make people angry. So I'm glad they admitted that. That said, you don't show a game that's a work in progress unless it's in its best light. The decision to delay Halo Infinite should have happened well before it did. And the fact that so many of these things are work in progress, GPU driven rendering, variable rate shading, dynamic time of day, global illumination, all of these features are still actively in development. They're not ready, and they're still not ready. That means that they wouldn't have been ready at launch of the game. We know that ray tracing wouldn't have been there. So why were you launching this game? Why did it need to take the community coming out and speaking out on the visual fidelity of this game and the lack thereof for you to realize it didn't need to come out? Why did you replace the campaign director, the multiplayer director, if the visuals were the biggest issue? It just seems like until the complaints came in that the people who make the decisions were not paying attention to where this game was. And that's troubling when you have 23 studios and you're not paying attention to your biggest game from your biggest IP. Are you paying attention to these other games? Are you making sure that the quality assurance is there? Are you making sure the quality control is there for these other games? I'm happy that they give these developers their creative freedom to do what they want, but yet at the same time, you need to also guide them along to make sure that what they're making is of the best quality. They can make whatever they want, just make the best of it. And it seems as if that's not quite happening here. Maybe this is a wake-up call. Maybe Halo Infinite has become the wake-up call that will help them grow as a publisher to make sure that the games are better quality in the future. But until we see it, somewhat troubling. Now, to continue on with Ani's quote, visual fidelity is a very important goal for Halo Infinite, and the graphics and arts teams have been continually aspiring and working closely with each other to create the best looking Halo game ever. I definitely want to acknowledge the input that we got from the Halo community and our fan base. Staying open to critical feedback and looking at areas where we can learn and do better is an inherent part of our culture at 343. Now, okay, being open to feedback, I agree with that. They listened on the PC side of things when it came to the Master Chief Collection. They listened to a lot of the feedback about some of the issues that people were having with each release, and they fixed those things. So I do agree with that. That said, you're talking about being the best looking Halo game ever. Okay, on the surface, absolutely. At a minimum, you should be better looking than Halo Guardian, a game that came out 5 years ago. That's a minimum. You need to be better looking than that. But you have to put it in context. Being the best looking Halo game is a low bar when those games are older and they were developed with outdated technology, outdated toolkits, outdated software on outdated hardware. That's not good enough. Visually, your game with so many years in development, with so many developers, over 1,000 with all the contractors they have on staff working on this game now, with all the time put in and with the graphics engine, with Slipspace engine, with all of the resources pulled into this game needs to be the best looking game that comes out in 2021. Best looking Halo game ever is a low bar. The high bar is to be on par with the way people receive the visuals of Red Dead 2, of God of War. That's the high bar. You have hardware that you've touted to be amazing. Full RDNA 2. You've touted this hardware, and so far it has not proven to be on a final product level significantly superior to your competition or superior at all. So in order to prove that, you need to make sure, if the third party doesn't do it, if the third party developers aren't putting the time in because they just got too many SKUs or too many versions of the game to put out on different platforms, that you make sure that your game on your platform is the best looking games on your platform, that they can be put up towards your competition's games visually and say, yes, that's on par. I do believe the coalition with the Gears games have fulfilled that requirement, but so far 343 with Halo Infinite, not so much. And so that should be the standard. That should be what you're looking for, to be the best game, the best looking game in 2021. Now, they also spoke about the art direction, and they defended their decision to go with the old school classic art direction, which I don't think gamers were really complaining about. Did I prefer the more modern art direction for Halo 4 and Halo Guardians? Absolutely. But I'm fine with the way the art style is of that classic Halo look. I know there's some big time Halo fans that wanted to go back to that look, and I'm fine with it. I think the Chief actually looked great, even in the gameplay demo. The Chief looks amazing, but the Chief wasn't the problem. The problem was the flat lighting, the lack of draw distance, the pop-in, the lack of textures on characters that are not named Master Chief. That is what the issue was. So I'm hoping that they understand that the art direction wasn't a problem. You don't need to defend your choice for art direction. What you need to be doing is updating the way the game looks in all other aspects, sans the art direction, which it seems that they do understand that. But there's no problem with the art direction as far as I'm concerned. Now, Neil Harrison, the director of art management, also acknowledged that the visuals were not on par with the standard that you'd expect from Halo. So it seems like all throughout this blog, they all want to really hammer the point in that they understand that the visuals were not on par. Great. He also explain why poor Craig looked the way that he looked, about a neutral state, and although I understand his explanation, I think it's an excuse that he's making here. You talking about how this is the default, the foundation of a character's face, and that's why it was there, and it's a freeze frame, and people freeze framed it and so on. You're making excuses, Neil. That's not the point. The point is that you shouldn't have showed the game looking like that. If that's the best that you got, you don't show the game yet. There needs to be some pushback from 343 to upper management to say, this game isn't ready yet. And having Craig look the way Craig looked and being the mean born, funny as it is, it's a bad look. And you shouldn't have had Craig looking like that. Period. Now, do I think Halo will be delayed again? Probably not. It's coming out fall 2021. They confirmed that. I think it's not going to be delayed any further than this. And the reason why I say that is because, as Staten confirmed, the campaign is complete and he played it twice already. Now, they're probably not going to do too much changes to this campaign, and if anything else that Staten is doing story-wise, because that's what he is. He's a game writer. He's written many of the stories for Halo in the past. He's probably going to be doing more of the ongoing content that they are going to drop. Now, they also confirmed that there will be no loot boxes in the game, which is great. I love to see that. They also said there will be seasons, so think more of the ongoing games out here, like Destiny, like The Division, Fortnite. Not necessarily Battle Royale, but definitely seasonal content to keep people invested, to keep people playing the game. You can like that, you can not like that, you can prefer that or not. It's all preference. But that's what they're working on. And I think that Staten is doing more story content in that sense of just leaving the campaign as is. He really doesn't have the time to do more than that. If he starts really altering the story and campaign extensively, then definitely reality, it's not going to meet a 2021 time frame. That means they gotta get more voice actors to come back in and do more lines. They gotta get animators to change cutscenes, yada yada yada. That's a lot of additional work that's going to take so much more time that 2021 isn't a reality. But if it's definitely coming out in 2021 and they come out and they stated this is the new date, then they've made the decision to not change the campaign. Take that as you will. That might be good, that might be bad. I think I'm gonna lean towards campaign might not be as amazing as we would like it to be, considering the guy that helped orchestrate the campaign isn't there anymore, but we'll see. But regardless of that, the game being delayed a full year and that they're not changing the campaign, this kind of lends to me the thought that they're going to spend the full year polishing this game visually and making sure it's as bug free as possible. And that's great. When I see things like that, it leads me to believe that they are having an extensive post-production phase, an extensive post-production process. And if that is the case, that is something you see from top tier studios like Naughty Dog and Rockstar. That's what those studios do before their games come out. And so again, with that said, this game should be a Game of the Year nominee at the very least next year. Now, I'm not saying it will be. What I'm saying is that that's the expectation now. If you are going a full year of post-production, a full year of making sure that this game meets the expectation that are set upon it, here are the expectations. Game of the Year nominee. Best visual game to come out in 2021. Virtually bug-free, or as bug-free as possible as the 343 game can be. That is the kind of bar that if you hit that bar, you're not going to have the critics coming after you. You're going to silence a lot of negative things to say about your product and your brand. You do that, you are at minimum a Game of the Year nominee for all the time that you've spent on this game, all the development and money, then you met the expectation. But what do you guys think? Do you think Halo's going to meet the expectations that are set upon it? Do you think about it being delayed? You think it'll be delayed out of 2021? Let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you liked the video, hit the dislike button if you didn't, it's all good. And hit the subscribe button if you want to see more content from me in the future. Peace.